show. Hey everyone, it's your friend Naruto swinging back at you with another video. And today I'm bringing you guys a brand new one shot just to say thank you for 700 subs. And as I'm making this, we're actually about to hit 800 subs. So I think that the next sub special will be out pretty soon after this one. If you guys haven't already, join my Discord in the description. And now let me go on to explaining what this what if is. Now, first of all, this is an unscripted what if. I've literally wrote nothing down, not a bullet point, not anything. And so you guys gonna have to bear with me if I stutter, if I stumble sometimes. Just for the new guys who don't know how my unscripted videos work, I do mess up sometimes. Today we're gonna be covering what if Deku was Nezu's bodyguard. And now, I've been thinking about this while starting the intro, and I think we're going to start off with Deku being a child. And Deku is actually going to be adopted by Principal Nezu. Nezu finds Deku in kind of a bad place, a ghetto area to say. I don't really want to say anything bad, but you know, like a poor area. And Deku, in this universe, Deku's parents are, you know, poor, and they're bad, and they don't really have, you know, enough money to support their child, and they fight and argue a lot. And Nezu stumbles upon Izuku as they were scouting out this area for potential in the entire hero thing. You know, some kids in, you know, hero society, such as the ones we see like Yarozu, are picked up from an early on age because of their quirks and because of their potential to become, you know, great heroes in the future. And so scouting in this area would begin. They were actually scouting another kid in Izuku's area whilst they stumbled upon Izuku. That kid's name would be Insa Yurashi. Yes, Insa Yurashi, the guy who's also known as Gil Force, who is a student at Shiketsu High. He is actually growing up in the same area as Izuku, and he and Izuku are actually best friends. We're gonna say that Izuku is around 7 years old in this what if, and he and Yurashi knew each other since they were kids because, you know, they grew up in the same area, went to the same school. Yurashi was always a hero in his heart, and he would always protect Izuku, the quirkless kid he was. And Izuku, you know, not really having any power to stand up for himself, would always lean on Yurashi. So their relationship would develop in that way, and they would grow up together, best friends, hand in hand. So when Principal Nezu went out to scout Yurashi, Deku was over at Yurashi's house because Deku never really wanted to go home. He'd only leave when he just had to, when Yurashi's parents would tell him to go home to his family, because, you know, they can't keep a kid over if their parents doesn't know he's there. Yurashi would beg and plead, and they were always together. So when Nezu came over to Yurashi's house and Deku was inside, the both of them sat on the couch while Nezu had a conversation with Yurashi's parents. And they watched as Yurashi's parents spoke to Nezu about Yurashi's potential in UA High. Now, Yurashi got this invite and this scouting opportunity from Nezu because he was defending Deku. Deku was being bullied by some other kids at school, and Yurashi, using his powers of wind, would repel these kids, and Izuku would then run away, scared, and sad that he had no power. He would run out of that school. Yurashi would chase him, and Deku would run into the middle of a villain battle. And Yurashi had no idea what he was doing, but he had stopped the entire encounter between these two factions of villains. Yurashi, using his amazing abilities as only a 7-year-old boy, would stop this confrontation, leaving 2 injured and the rest of the people who were there scattering away scared for their lives. The Wind Hero would get his start at that early an age. This would then be on the news, as someone had recorded it with their smartphones. Seeing this kid protect his friend in such an amazing way, they would post it on the internet and it would go viral. Yurashi would be kind of a celebrity at only 7 years old. This is the backstory to how Nezu is at Yurashi's house, speaking to Yurashi's parents. Nezu goes on to tell them that he sees a bright future in Yurashi and would like to take him into a program known as the UA High School Reading Division. They train up young kids to become the greatest heroes possible before the government could get to them themselves. Urashi would say, if you don't let us take him right now, he might be prey to more nefarious acts. We're not the only organization that takes kids from a young age and trains them. There are others, controlled by the Hero Association themselves, or the government. And their way, let's say, is a lot more, how should I put this? A lot more rough than ours. I don't want to give you guys an ultimatum here, but Insa is already a hero. There's no stopping that. No going back from it. Plus, we can take him out of this. You know, give him a warm bed, food 3 days a week, and make sure that he has the best possible education. So if he doesn't want to become a hero, he can always pursue another path. And Insa, hearing all this, looking at Deku twiddling his thumbs, would step up. His parents were holding each other, crying, struggling with the decision that they had to make, to send their kid off, or to keep him here, in this area, where he could grow up to be God knows what. So his parents would shake their heads and say, "We understand. Thank you for giving us this opportunity." Insa was already standing. He yelled out saying, "No, I don't want to go anywhere. Please, I don't want to leave you guys. I don't want to leave Izuku." Izuku would then look down. He was scared. This was confrontation, and he always ran from that. Insa then said, "Nezu, sir, I can't leave them. I can't leave my friend. What will he do without me?" Nezu then looked at Izuku, sitting on the couch. "Well, kid, I know this is a tough decision, but sometimes we have to do what's best for not only ourselves, but our families. I know you'll miss them, but this is the thing that you should do. It's going to make you strong. For them. For the world." "Well, Nezu, I understand that. And I understand it's important for me to be strong. But I can't leave Izuku. Please, Nezu. Can you please take him with me?" Nezu looks at Urashi and he thinks. "No," he says. "I can't. This was the boy that got you in trouble in the first place, right? He didn't get me in trouble. He was scared. He ran. Nezu, you have to understand, please, sir. The spot we have is only for one. I mean, we can't squeeze him in anywhere. There has to be a place for him. Anywhere. He can stay with me in the same room if he has to." "You really love him that much?" "I do. He's like a brother to me." "Well, if it will make you more comfortable with staying, yeah, sure. He can stay in the same room as you for now, but we can sort out a living situation for him shortly." "Thank you, Nezu." Insa then runs over and hugs Nezu. Izuku looks up to see Urashi protecting him again. His figure, his symbol, was his best friend, his brother. We now fade, and we see Urashi's parents, Nezu, and some of Nezu's bodyguards and assistants walking over to Izuku's house. Urashi and Izuku hand in hand leading the way. Urashi skipping while Izuku is walking with his head down. He knows as soon as they get there, it's going to be another confrontation. When they get out the side of Izuku's door, they can hear his parents arguing. It sounds like they're in a serious fight. Bottles are being thrown, glass is being broken, and looking outside of Izuku's house, Nezu sees nothing but peril. Izuku then opens the door walking inside. His parents quickly quiet as he see Hirashi and Izuku together. Then Izuku opens the door while they're about to start up again, and they see a bunch of men and women in suits alongside Hirashi's parents. Izuku's mom then goes out and says, "Deku, what did you do? Did you call Sal Services on us? I can't believe it, after all we've done for you." Izuku then says, "No, Mom, I didn't, I would never." And then Izuku's dad would interject saying, "Good for nothing. I know I shouldn't have..." "Sorry, sir," Nezu then says. "We're not child services. We're coming here to offer your child something else, however." "Oh, well then," Izuku's mom then says, straightening herself up. Come in." And Nezu steps into the house, and even as a rat himself, this was just something else. Clothes scattered everywhere, dishes in the sink, water running even though nobody is using it. It was just a bad place. And they sit down on Izuku's couch as Izuku and Hirashi run into his room. Hirashi's parents and Nezu then begin to explain the entire encounter to Izuku's parents, with Izuku and Hirashi peeking outside of Izuku's room door, just looking and waiting. So, the opportunity we're here to give your son is one, to become a student at UA High School. UA High School? He's only 7 years old. Yes. But we have a development program to train young kids to become students at our school. Well, Izuku has no quirk. What's the point of him going to UA High? He's never going to become a hero. Yeah, I agree. Izuku is quirkless. That would just be putting him in danger going to UA High. Yeah, about that. Nezu then goes on to tell them about the General Studies program and other opportunities that Izuku would have going to UA High. UA High School is not only a hero school, he says. It is one of the greatest academic schools in the entirety of Japan as well. Top 10 at the very least. This can give Izuku an opportunity to go on to a good university and get a really great job. Izuku's parents are now listening, and they see Izuku poking his head out saying, and he's nodding. Well, Izuku is always a bright boy. He's top of his class, you know? Yeah, that kid, he's a bookworm, and he loves his heroes. You see, Nezu then says there could really be an opportunity for him in hero studies. He could become, an engineer for heroes, creating their costumes. There's a myriad of careers in herodom without actually being a hero yourself. We'll have to get some time to think about this. That's when Hirashi's parents would then interject, saying, "There is no time to think about it. If you guys want this to happen, it has to happen now. We've already signed the contract. Hirashi is leaving today." Those words then echo in Izuku's ears as he looks back at Hirashi, and they're staring at each other. Hirashi grabs him, holding him tightly. They're now awaiting Izuku's parents' answer. What they could say could either mean that Hirashi would be separated from Izuku, or the two kids would go on together. Izuku's parents would then think about it. Izuku's mom would say, "That's our son, we can't let him go, please. Please is all I have." This is something that we have to do. Think about him, his future. He can't stay here. You know it's not healthy for him like this. We've been speaking about it forever. Come on. I think we should sign. Izuku's mom and dad then reluctantly signed the permission slip. The slip that would take their child away for at least 10 years. I mean, he would get to visit every now and then, but it wasn't the same as having your child live with you. Hirashi and Izuku look at each other. They're smiling. but they're both sad, knowing about what they have to leave behind. We now fade again, and this time, to Deku hugging his parents, and Urashi doing the same up the street. They walk out of their respective houses carrying as much clothes as they possibly could. Two bags in Deku's hand, and 3 in Urashi's. He's using his quirk wind to propel a bag behind him. His dad carries the rest of his stuff out. His mom hugs him, kisses him goodbye, and they get into the car, driving down the road to see Deku in hand with his bags. He looks back at his parents. His mom runs towards him, hugs him, and his dad looks at him, waving his hand. She says, "Go do it, Izuku. Make something of yourself. Make us proud. You can do this. I believe in you, son." Izuku then begins crying. He turns his head around, crying as Nezu is there waiting for him. Opening the door to the car, he says, "Get in, son. It's time." Izuku puts his bags in the back of the car. While Nezu's bodyguards loads everything up, Izuku gets into the car to see Urashi. Urashi has his head turned to Izuku. Izuku is crying, sniffling, and Urashi, seeing this, turns his head back around. They lock eyes. Urashi is crying his eyes out as well. Izuku said, "You were crying?" "Yeah, but I didn't want to show you. I wanted to be strong, but I can't stop." Izuku then hugs Urashi as he gets into the car, fixing his rearview mirror and looking back at the two boys. He thinks, this is going to be a journey for a lifetime. We fade 3 years into the future. Urashi is training while Izuku is studying. Izuku now advances so far in his studies, he is actually studying on a university level at 10 years old. When his mom told him to go chase his dreams, Izuku did that very thing. He was now a super genius, developing his brain way beyond his capabilities. He was going to go plus ultra in the only way that he could, by becoming very, very smart. Now, Izuku is not on quirkless hacker levels. He's actually quite beyond that. We can compare Izuku's entire mind to that of Tony Stark right now. He is a genius of geniuses. He is Albert Einstein on crack, basically, solving complicated arithmetic problems, physics, chemistry to biology. But the one thing that Izuku was very, very good at was strategy. He was a grandmaster level strategist at only 10 years old. Being a grandmaster at chess, checkers, whatever complicated board game you could ever think of, Izuku was amazing at it. He would always beat Nezu, and Nezu is a grandmaster at chess as well. While Izuku was the brains, Urashi was the brawn. At 10 years old, he was on par with some of the first years at UA High. He would always spar with them, using his crazy abilities and his smart combat tactics to defend against their superior strength. Seeing how our young heroes are developing, we're going to fast forward again another 3 whole years. Deku and Urashi are now 13 years old each respectively, and Izuku has developed a lot since that time. Izuku had begun doing some more physical training with Urashi. Urashi and Deku actually became great sparring partners because Deku had been learning some martial arts and studying things like that, so he kind of reinvigorated his dream and drive to become a hero again. Learning these martial arts, he was able to put up a fight against Urashi, an absolute prodigy. Urashi was now climbing to the top ranks of UA High's secret legends. There were rumblings about this new kid who's going to be coming in a couple of years, and he's really, really strong. Some of the now third years were now speaking about how they had sessions with him when he was a young kid, and at 10 years old he was beating their asses, while they were 15 and 14 respectively. This kid was an absolute talent, and they heard another secret about another kid who was a super genius, hiding in the ranks of Nezu's secret UA halls. These were now rumors spreading throughout the entire school, and now we see Nezu watching Urashi and Deku spar. Nezu sees Deku's smart techniques. He can see and saw how Yorashi would use his quirk, predicting Yorashi's moves. Even though, as I stated before, Yorashi had become unpredictable and technically smart in fighting since he was 10 years old. Even though Yorashi was an incredible fighting technician, we can compare him to Goku, even though he's not on Goku's level. Goku was incredibly smart when it comes to fighting. Yorashi's not there, but he's comparable in terms of the MHA universe. You know what I mean? And we see Yorashi's incredible talents as a fighting technician. Izuku was even stronger. He was able to defend, block, counterattack, and stay out of the way of Yorashi's powerful blasts. To the point where Yorashi was starting to go all out on Izuku, and that could have ended badly. I mean, if one of Yorashi's attacks would have hit Izuku, things could have went south, but they never did. They would graze Izuku and slightly hit him, but no full-on contact. You know when like a haymaker grazes across a boxer's face when you're watching a boxing match and you're like, damn, if that would have hit, that could have completely KO'd that guy. That was constantly happening. Izuku was always a couple of inches away from being KO'd, but he kept in there, and in the end, he managed to pin Yorashi to the ground. Using a jujutsu move, he put Yorashi in a 619 kind of headlock, hurricaning him down to the floor. Sitting atop him, he raised his fist saying, "I think this match is over." He stood up, dusting his hands off, then looked up at Nezu, smiling. Nezu would come down, clapping his hands, saying, "That was an incredible match, guys." Izuku would pick Yorashi off the ground, and Yorashi would sulk for a couple seconds, saying, "I can't believe you did that to me, Deku. That was totally unfair. It's like you knew where I was going, even though I didn't even try to predict them. Like, my moves were so precise and smooth. How did you know?" I want to tell you, but I kind of don't, because I want to do that to you again. So, maybe I'll tell you in the future. But as of right now, I'll keep those secrets close to my heart. So, what do you think, Nezu? You're incredibly strong, Izuku. I think there might be a future in you, in the hero course after all. Maybe as a sidekick. You really think so? Izuku then cracks his neck, saying, hero course work? I always wanted to be a hero, but seeing how much times this kid gets his head banged, I don't know about that. I don't want to lose what's up there, you know? Izuku then points to his skull, saying, "The super genius I am, after all." Izuku had become to develop into an incredibly confident person. He was getting praises about his entire geniosity. Where Izuku was just a random nerd in his middle school back in canon, Izuku was now a smart hero tactician, being able to take notes on heroes as if he had known them his entire life, predict which moves they would do. He was giving out hero research that would be used with actual heroes in the real world, being a hero research for pros at only 12 to 11 years old, before he was even turning 13. So Izuku would then go on saying, "I can't keep it in. I have to tell you this, Yorashi. Your moves aren't predictable. It's just that I, being who I am, can predict them. You know, when you step to the left, you swing to the right. When you step to the right, you're always going for a wind-based attack. Things like that a regular person wouldn't pick up. When you spin around and do a spinning elbow, there's always something that will follow it. Stuff like that is the reason I get paid the big bucks." "You mean the reason UA gets paid the big bucks?" "Same difference." The two of you make me laugh. My potential filter kids. Izuku, I really want to talk to you about a future you may have in the hero field. Seriously. I'm honored, Nezu, but how can a workless kid like me, Izuku? Don't count yourself out. You're a prodigy, just like Yorashi here. Thanks. Don't thank me, Izuku. I have another proposition for you. Since you seem so down in the dumps recently, how about you do a mission for me? A mission, Izuku then says. Yeah, a mission. You complete this task, and we can seriously consider your future as a hero in UA. Honestly, you can enter the sidekick course, or maybe even one of the main hero courses, either in 1A or 1B. Are you actually serious, Principal Nezu? Yes, Izuku. I know it's your dream, and Yurashi here is a definite shoo-in for 1A by recommendation. But you, on the other hand, given your quirklessness, you're going to have to strive for it, fight for it. And doing these missions for me, we can see if you're actually able to do it. And we can give you a leg up on your competition and future comrades. So, what you're saying is, you can be a hero, Izuku. And I can make that happen for you. Thank you, Nezu. Izuku then hugs Nezu. Nezu then says again, don't get ahead of yourself. Come on, Izuku, let go of the little guy. Yeah, sorry about that. Sorry, Nezu. Thanks, Yurashi. So, what's the mission? You would have to be my bodyguard for a day. And that's how Izuku becomes Nezu's bodyguard. From an odd one-off, where Nezu would have Izuku as his bodyguard, but a crazy event would go down. Starting this day, Izuku's entire life would change. The prospect of becoming heroes and all that would swiftly curve in the other direction. Now skip to the next day, Izuku's first day as Nezu's bodyguard. Izuku was now granted into the bodyguard. True, getting his own ID badge and everything. It was supposed to be temporary, but Izuku kinda liked this high-class access. They dressed Izuku in a nice black suit and stood him next to some of the big, tallest, meaningest guys you've probably ever seen. Nezu didn't often walk around with that much security, but if he was going to be at an event or some big place where eyes would be on him, he would have to have some. And today was a day where he was going to be in an event. It was the Interschool High. Now, this is not like the UA Sports Festival. It is something completely different, but similar. It is where different schools would get together and showcase their strongest heroes and all that. It was like the UA Sports Festival before the UA Sports Festival really became what it is today. Now, the UA Sports Festival was always a big thing. I'm not going to retcon that or anything, because we know from All Might's days that it had a huge impact on him and there were crowds there. But the UA Stadium was not always as huge. And believe it or not, UA was not always the #1 school to go to. Because remember, before All Might went there, could you probably name someone who went there? I mean, you could, but it still wasn't #1. It still had competition with other schools. And as such, even though All Might had won there already, they still would keep up this inter-high tournament until where we are in the present story. But that is another thing for another day. So this entire tournament is going on. The crowd is going crazy. Of course, it's not as big as the UA Sports Festival or anything. It's kind of really more small, tight-knit, you know, friends of families and the families of the kids who are participating are there. And Izuku is just there watching all of this crazy spectacle go down. He's standing on Nezu's right hand while his... sorry about that. That's my alarm. to start getting ready for work, but we're gonna just ignore that and continue to go on because we have the time. I'm so sorry about that, guys. I really am. So we see Izuku by Nezu's right hand, standing there, staring up straight. He had these black sunglasses on, and thought that he was supposed to make a mean look. So he put on a frown, and Nezu would look at him while still watching the tournament, saying, "Loosen up, Izuku. I understand that you think a bodyguard is supposed to be this big, strong, you know, mean guy, like the rest of these folks here." Nezu then laughs, looking at the rest of his crew. They keep silent, however. But you can do what you want to do, Izuku. Be who you want to be. Loosen up. Relax. Okay, Nezu. I'm loosening. Alright. enjoy the show. Nothing's gonna happen here. However, something did happen. On the tail end of the tournament, when things were finally starting to wrap up, they were attacked by villains. Now, this isn't a league of villains or anything. The underground at this time wasn't as, undergroundy, and wasn't as, it was more structured than it is in the present story, but still, there was nothing really like this happening. But stuff still did happen in the underground. Things weren't just smooth sailing. So attacks like this, while not being normal, did happen. They were being attacked, and immediately the bodyguards got into a formation to protect Nezu. And we see this happening with all the principals of UA. All of their personal security guys got into a formation to protect the principals, while the principals would yell out to them, "Stop thinking about me, worry about the kids." And that's when the villains would start going crazy, breaking out. The crowd would disperse, trying to talk to their family members, the kids at these schools, but they weren't budging. They had to protect their teachers. They had to be the heroes that they were meant to be. These kids, however, were way over their heads. Fighting against other kids is completely different from fighting against grown men and women villains. Some kids would get beaten up, pushed aside, blown into the wind, while the stronger kids would put up good fights, fighting back against the entire, thing going on here. We can see some recent graduates of these schools, such as the gymongous hero Mount Lady. She was there at the tournament at this time. Also, Kami Woods would make an appearance there. But the person that stood out the most out of everybody else in the entire kind of event happening was Izuku. Being that young kid he was, the quirkless kid standing by Nezu, protecting him at all costs. As everything went down, Izuku would stick close, keeping the small mouse right next to him beside him, saying, "We have to move strategically, Nezu. We have to get you out of this situation, quickly, towards a safer place." Izuku would look, and scan his environment, while the bodyguards created a circle around Izuku and Nezu, keeping Izuku and Nezu at the core of them to kind of move throughout the entire event happening around them. All the other kids were faring well against these villains. I mean, they'd never fought villains before, but they were still heroes in training, and still powerful ones at that. Izuku would yell out, "Toshinori, we need you right now, come!" Toshinori, hearing this, would back up from the villain he was fighting. The villain he was fighting was pretty strong. He also had a wind-based quirk, but Toshinori, he was a different beast entirely. He swung his left arm towards the villain, creating a gust of wind, slapping him back, and then quickly used his feet to burst back off, winding himself throughout the sky, flying. He did a flip through the air, trying to look for Izuku. He found him in the crowd of bodyguards that were fighting to protect Nezu, and landed right in the middle of them, saying, "What's up, Izuku? What do you need from me? There's a lot going on right now. I need you to help me out, alright? We need you to clear a path for us so we can get Nezu to safety." "Okay, I can do that." Toshinori then blasted off again, going back towards the fight. This 13, 14-year-old kid was putting in some serious work, while the other young, fresh heroes, such as Kamu and Mount Lady, were going ham as well. This battle was taking off, and it was showing Izuku's extreme strategic prowess, as Izuku yelled out to everybody and told them to form a circle around him. Now that small circle of bodyguards had turned into a full circle of all the students of UA, fighting to protect their principal and also each other. The closer they came against this wave of villains meant that they could each help one another out. If one of them broke through the wall and got closer and closer, there was another wall of interior security guards protecting Nezu pop out and help the students. This meant that the students were out on the front lines. Izuku would then instruct the students to come in, giving the bodyguards out on the outside and the students on the inside. Izuku was so smart, he did all this while still moving towards his goal, to get out of this mess, to get towards the light and bring things towards the public. He moved and moved and moved. Nezu was faltering, getting tired because his little legs couldn't take all this movement, all this pressure and power against him. So Izuku would pick him up while still instructing his students and the security guards on what to do. Nezu would look up at Izuku, his eyes glimmering with pride. It was like his own son had come together to save him. You know, he and Toshinori were kind of raised by Nezu, in a way. Izuku, the boy he had seen in the slums, had turned into something else entirely. He would certainly make a great hero. Or a great something else. They fought and they fought. They weren't able to break through and find a place to hide, however. But they were able to dwindle the villains' numbers down so significantly that the villains simply gave away and ran. With a sigh of relief, Izuku would let go of Nezu, as the last villains got up, picking up their allies, friends, and whatever scum that weren't completely knocked out, and dragged them away, saying, "We'll be back! We'll come for you, Nezu!" Izuku sighed. And then Toshinori, who was right next to him, would scream, "We did it!" And a crowd of the young heroes would erupt. Fast forwarding past this, we see the heroes being patched up back in UA High. Now, this entire different turn of events would create a kind of domino effect. We're kind of see things move quickly than they did in canon. Where in canon, we'd have to wait to see Izuku and his classmates be the first ones to be put in dorms. The entire system would be changed around, flipped completely in an instant. This attack was bigger than anything we had seen, maybe even in our own canon, with attacks coming after All Might using Nomu. And, you know, we see all these different people from the League of Villains coming to kill our students. This was perhaps even bigger than that because the principal of UA was a main target, not just the students or just the heroes such as All Might. They were going to try and topple the system through its head. So this would lead to a domino effect. People started to be kind of in distrust of heroes, and the villain uprising would happen a lot quicker. Things such as All Might having less of a presence would start to now affect society. All Might was still reeling from injury. Now, All Might hearing about Izuku and his great kind of, showcase at the entire UA thing would put him on Izuku's radar, but All Might was still waiting for that something else. Nobody had told anybody what had happened. Izuku's quirklessness was kept a secret, even from the people that know about it in UA, because he was still a secret student. He was still, along with Toshinori, kept under wraps. UA didn't want to expose their illegal programs to the public, and even to other heroes who had been to UA prior. We now see the gathering of all the UA teachers for the year that Izuku and Toshinori would be enrolled. We see Lady Midnight come together with, the Loud Hero and all of these other heroes to kind of become one great hero force. And in the next part, we're going to see how Izuku is actually going to be finding his role in all of this. And we're going to see how All Might plays things out, looking for his new successor. Right now, this is where I'm going to end it. I know I promised that this would be a one-shot, but things have kind of spiraled in another direction. I haven't dropped a video in a while, and I really just want to push this out. I don't have much time to sit back and record more. So I'm just going to finish completing this video and pushing it out. You will be getting part 2 as soon as we hit, let's try to go for 35 likes. And thank you guys for 800 subscribers. I know that we're like around 900 now, and I've kind of just been lacking recently. So for the rest of the month of December, I'm just going to be spamming content. This is the best YouTube month in terms of viewership, and I want to give you guys something to kind of claim on. I haven't uploaded a video in a month, and I'm sorry for that. Just know it will never happen again. And I know this is kind of a repeating pattern for me, but I'm trying my best. If you guys really want to know more about me, look at me on Instagram. All my links to my social medias will be in the description. If you guys DM me, I definitely will respond. I respond to all DMs on Instagram, and I try my best to get back to people on Discord. I am kind of inactive on Discord right now, but I'm trying to get back into it. If you haven't already, follow the JBT Discord server, hop in there. We play Minecraft in there all the time. I play Minecraft with mods, with all my friends and viewers. So if you have a Minecraft on the computer and you want to play with Big G Taco, I am down. We also play other games. We play Fortnite in there. We play Brawlhalla in there. and we even react to anime and do movie nights in there sometimes. So get down there in the Instagram, DM your boy, I will respond to you, and you can maybe even see me personally making videos, and maybe even, you know, talk to me about videos, because I'm taking a lot of you guys' ideas into account. Beyond that, I don't really have much else to say. Like, comment, subscribe. No, that's not what I say. What do I say? I keep on forgetting what I always say at the end of the videos. Lick that like button, crunch those comments, and subscribe to the channel, because you guys make my day. You are the light and the joy in my evening. You guys really brighten up my day. So if you could go down there and let me know what you think about this video, what you think about Deku and Toshinori's relationship. Not Toshinori. What do I keep on saying Toshinori? I keep on forgetting the Wind Hero's name, but let me know what you guys think about this. I'm sorry that it kind of feels rushed towards the end, because I am rushing to get content out right now. But the next part will be definitely better, and the next part will be the finale. So I will see you in the future. Peace.
She like yaddy yaya, she like yaddy yaya. Bitch, I'm rooting for ya, bitch, I'm rooting for ya. She like yaddy yaya, she like yaddy yaya. Bitch, I'm rooting for ya, bitch, I'm rooting for ya. Bitch, I'ma break the bank, bitch, I'ma break the bank, bitch, I'ma break the bank, bitch, I'ma run like a check, bitch, I'ma ball like a ref, bitch, I'ma ball like a ref. She bout to get this on that, nigga, they mad and not like me. Shawty, she bad, wanna be on my team. Foot on the gas, bitch, I'm going this speed. Bitch, I got a Glock and it came with a beat. Bitch, I'ma break the bank. Bitch, I'ma break